Live from Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Gituku.
Good evening. Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 24th day of October 2024. And tonight on Data Point, we are paying some special focus to the counties. So far, the Senate and the National Assembly cannot agree on some 20 billion shillings, which is the amount the Senate says must be taken to the counties to give a total of 400 billion shillings. The National Assembly is saying that it should be 380 billion shillings. And so far as we are speaking, the counties should have received up to 127 billion shillings from the month of July up until now, the month of October. But that is not the story. I'll be telling you how much they've been receiving and how much the National Treasury still owes them. Speaking about that, I'll also be telling you about that standoff between the Senate and the National Assembly and what it should mean, because there has to be a mediation team or mediation committee set up to decide on the fate of that particular bill. And that should be taking up to 30 days. It is yet to be formed, but I'll be telling you the details about that. But also tonight, the news gang is back to walk through the events of the week, from the court battles that you've been seeing and the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and of course the future of the country at a time that Professor Kithure Kindiki waits to be installed as the Deputy President of the Republic. But first, here are the top stories of the night.
Perception is a very important concept when it comes to the arena of politics.
Decisions abound that judges must not recuse themselves on flimsy and baseless allegations.
Heated arguments in court as judges hear recusal application by impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
The Adani Group are investing in the transmission line. Their money, 95 billion. We would have otherwise gone to borrow that money, burden the people of Kenya.
It's a good deal for Kenya. President Ruto defends Adani's 95 billion shilling power deal.
What a mighty man who can dismember my brother, cut parts, as a sign that we have done the job.
Tortured to death. Gory details of the killing of Wells Fargo HR manager Willis Ayeko. Outrage over the murder of 3 family members as Eastleigh residents demand justice for a woman and 2 girls. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Njoki Shige. Tonight, President William Ruto has defended the 95 billion shilling Adani deal signed by the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, with the controversial Indian company for the construction of power transmission lines and substations in the country. The president says the public-private partnership deal is not only a solution from the burden of public debt, but also a path to reducing the cost of power. Speaking in Nakuru, the president said there are several other private partnership deals lined up, including the 35-megawatt geothermal power plant that he launched in Menengai today. Stephen Leto reports.
The Adani footprints in the country has sparked protest and irked the public because of the opacity of some of the deals. From the JKIA takeover and now the 95 billion shillings deal entered with KETRACO.
I think we were...
Amid ongoing criticism of the deal, President Ruto argued that the collaboration was preferable to taking on additional loans or increasing taxes. While in Menengai, Nakuru County, President Ruto backed the decision to work with Adani, an Indian-based firm that seeks to invest billions of shillings in the aviation, health and power sectors.
The Adani Group are investing in the transmission line. Their money, 95 billion. We would have otherwise gone to borrow that money, burden the people of Kenya. This is now a private sector investment, the same way Keshan here is a private sector investment, the same way Sosian is a private sector investment. We will pay for that transmission line using a wheeling charge. that has been negotiated.
In his attempts to sway Kenyans to back the Adani deal, President Ruto said that the current Nairobi Expressway was constructed under a similar public-private partnership, and now the China-based firm is collecting its money through toll charges.
It is also the same principle that we have used in developing the expressway in Nairobi. Private investors invested in the expressway. We are using that facility through tolling. They are collecting their investment.
President Ruto's defense on Adani deals in Kenya comes amidst layers of court cases against the Indian-based firm lodged in courts, as well as an active directive by the National Assembly to have JKIA cease any contact with the Adani until a forensic audit by the Auditor General is done and a report tabled in Parliament. Under the agreement, Adani will construct and manage key transmission lines, including a 400 kV Gilgil-Thika Malaa Konza line spanning 208.73 kilometers and a 220 kV Rongai Kiringet Chamosit line covering around 100 kilometers. President Ruto says his option for Adani and other private investors was due to the debt hole that the country is in.
We do not want to burden the people of Kenya with either additional taxes or additional loans, when the private sector can do it much more efficiently.
After the signing of the multi-billion shillings deal on October 12, 2024, following months of negotiations, Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi was again hosting President Ruto in Nakuru of a public partnership with Kaishan Group from China for the construction of the 35 megawatts of geothermal power plant in Menengai.
Today, we are not only witnessing the groundbreaking for this power plant, we are also going to witness the signing of an agreement, of an MOU between Kaishan Group and KenGen, Your Excellency. That agreement is going to make it possible for the first time for this country to develop green hydrogen and then ammonia and eventually get fertilizer for our agriculture.
Development of these 35 megawatts by All Power 22 adds into our power mix a considerable fraction towards our national commitment to green energy. We eagerly await, Your Excellency, the acceleration to finalize the utilization of the remaining gathered steam.
Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Police in Siaya County are piecing together details of the last moments of slain top manager of a security firm, Willis Ayeko, whose mutilated body was found dumped in a stream on Wednesday. According to logs seen by Citizen TV, Willis was last seen at a funeral in Nyaminia village in Siaya last week. Members of his family suspect that his abductors accosted him at around 10 p.m. Friday, killing him before dumping his body at the intersection of Siaya and Kakamega counties. Laura Otieno has more.
At the Siaya County morgue, family and friends of the late Willis Ayeko are overrun by emotions after viewing the mutilated body of their kin. Willis was reported missing on 21st October, 2 days after he attended a funeral at Nyamninia village in Siaya. The family believes that Willis was ambushed by his would-be killers at around 10 p.m. on Friday before he was tortured, where parts of his face were carved out and bruises on his upper body, indicating signs that he might have been dragged on a rough surface before he was killed.
Who is this? That is our question. Who is this who wanted Willis dead? What a mighty man who can dismember my brother, cut parts, as a sign that we have done the job. How much was he paying? Because the type of murder my brother has gone through, a painful, brutal murder that I've never seen. I've lived on this earth.
His decomposing body was discovered by a school-going child on Wednesday, lying face down at the Mungowere stream in Yala, with his hands cuffed to his back. On Tuesday, his car had been found abandoned kilometers away at this center in Sabatia, Kakamega County. The family says the car was intact and no traces of blood. However, his pistol that had 14 rounds of ammunition was missing. Police say 55-year-old Ayeko was a licensed gun holder. In logs seen by Citizen TV, Willis left Nyamninia at around 10:15 p.m. on Friday and drove 13 kilometers to Nyabeda Center. After about an hour, the vehicle, which detectives believe had Ayeko and his abductors on board, was triangulating between Regea, Nyamninia and Muhanda centers. It then went to Dudi Center, where it remained stationary between 11:57 p.m. and 3:44 a.m. on Saturday. The car then circled back to Regea, where it stopped for 8 minutes. His phone was switched off at this point. CCTV footage obtained by Citizen TV shows the car was then driven towards Kakamega direction, and at 6:04 a.m. on Saturday, the vehicle is seen diverting at Sabatia Center, where it was abandoned.
Now what we are doing, we are removing the body of my brother to Lee Funeral Home. The officers had come from Nairobi. Now what they are doing, they are preparing the body to put in a new body bag to take to Lee Funeral Home. The rest of the things you will hear as time comes.
Ayeko's death has raised questions on the security of Kenyans following the spate of murders seen over the last few months. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
And try to another story. This is on the High Court, where it has declined the state's request for an additional 2 days for government pathologist Dr. Johansen Oduor to provide the post-mortem report of a body found in Lake Yahud, initially believed to be that of Wajir member of County Assembly Yusuf Ahmed. Justice Alexander Muteti says that the state did not present sufficient reasons for the extension, while the family's pathologist had already availed a DNA report that showed the body was not that of the missing MCA. Willie Lusige reports.
After the High Court declined the state's initial request to close the case brought by the family and the Law Society of Kenya, Justice Alexander Muteti also denied the state's request to delay the proceedings for 2 days. His request was intended to allow pathologist Johansen Oduor to provide a post-mortem report on a body recently recovered from Lake Yahud, believed to be that of Yusuf Ahmed, who went missing on September 13th after being reportedly abducted in Nairobi by unknown individuals.
The state, on the other hand, has applied for 2 days to enable them, to enable the government pathologists complete the test. We have not been told what are the difficulties that the chief government pathologist has encountered.
The state sought additional time even after one of the pathologists hired by the family, who conducted the post-mortem alongside the government pathologist, presented a report indicating that the DNA test confirmed that the body is not that of Dela Anole Ward representative Yusuf Hussein Ahmed.
On behalf of the family, I delivered the samples to KEMRI. They have a special lab for human identification, and our results came in by the end of yesterday. The conclusion is that the body we had conducted the autopsy was not the body of Mheshimiwa Yusuf.
Justice Muteti emphasized the seriousness of the matter, directing that the hearing will continue on Friday without the pathologist's report, as the state failed to explain why the government pathologist did not provide the report as requested.
The state has had ample time to respond to the application, thus the request for 2 days is not reasonable and is hereby rejected.
Family members, leaders and activists insist that the government knows the whereabouts of the MCA and are demanding that the state, through the police, to produce him alive or dead.
We are putting the government on notice that if they did not bring the results simply because they want to cook the results, we have already the results from KEMRI that are conclusive that Mheshimiwa is not the body that was there.
Anyone has even an iota of evidence of his wrongdoing, this is where they should bring him. Forceful disappearances have no place in modern day Kenya. And I'm saying this today, that Yusuf is in the hands of the security apparatus, and the abductors are none other than the government security agencies. You know yourselves, there's nothing to fear.
According to the family, Ahmed was abducted by unknown assailants on Friday, September 13th, 2024 at around 8 p.m. along the Enterprise Road in Nairobi. The heavily armed assailants driving in two unmarked Land Cruiser Prados intercepted Ahmed's taxi, forcefully removing him from the vehicle and whisking him away to a unknown location. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV.
Now to a story in the health sector. 3 weeks into the implementation of the new National Medical Insurance Scheme, patients continue to report challenges interacting with the new system. A section of patients are reporting of being required to pay hospital fees out of pocket as health facilities report lack of funds and a dysfunctional claims management system. Private and faith-based hospitals are struggling to stay afloat following a huge debt owed to them by the outgoing NHIF. Emily Chebet has more.
At Nyanjwa Adventist Mission Hospital in Kisii County, hundreds of patients are present. The majority are stranded. The transition from the National Health Insurance Fund to the new Social Health Authority cover complicating their lives.
We came in with a much expectation that we get some help from it, but we were told that it has to be perhaps a referral from a various level 3 hospital, and this is a level 4 hospital. So when we got to the level 3 hospital, we cannot get even the simple tests. So we had to come and pay for cash. We paid for 7,800 for the first test, then the subsequent test.
Even though the government has directed health facilities to offer services to all, with a promise to clear pending NHIF bills owed to healthcare facilities, some patients continue to get turned away due to lack of money. Private and faith-based health institutions say they are struggling to sustain the new scheme.
To get service here under SHA or a SHIF, you must get referred. But you will find that many patients are walking in because the level 2s and level 3s are at a distance. So the patients who are coming here, they are paying cash. They are forced to do it because they don't have any referral system from wherever they are coming from. They are just walk-ins, so they cannot use the SHA platform to have them get services unless there are emergencies.
Davison Obonyo, a hospital manager, says the challenges with SHA system and lack of funds to offer services have seen a drop in the number of patients seeking services in the facility.
We have submitted up to 7 prioritizations of maternity cases where we are trying to see whether the claims can go through. And the system has challenges in terms of prioritization because we do not have prioritization forms yet from SHA. So we do not know when we are doing this prioritization which forms we are going to use because we have not been submitted some.
Patients at Litein Mission Hospital face the same challenges. Some are forced to pay cash or seek services elsewhere. Citizen TV met with a dialysis patient who was yet to be attended to after the family was asked to raise 8,600 Kenya shillings.
Dialysis tumekuwa tukifanyiwa bila malipo, lakini wakati ameugua sasa tumepelekwa kwa casualty, tumeambiwa tulipe 86 ndio waanze kufanya processes ya outpatient, si outpatient, casualty.
Huwa tunachukua hapa na clinic huwa tunakuja hapa, lakini tunafika saa hii tunaambiwa hakuna hiyo dawa mpaka ulipie hiyo dawa. Pengine ulaswe kwa ward ndio upate hiyo facilities, utumie hiyo SHA. Lakini kama we ni outpatient lazima utumie mambo ya cash.
A considerable number of Kenyans say they are yet to understand even the basics of the new system, such as transferring from NHIF to SHA and monthly contributions, which some feel they have been placed in the wrong category.
Mbeleni walituambia tunalipa 300 watu wa chini kama sisi. Lakini saa hii ninaambiwa ninalipa 750, nikajaribu tena ya mzee akasema ni 1030. Sasa hii maneno ya SHA imetusumbua, haitusaidia hata kwa outpatient.
Juu SHA sijui NHIF. Sasa tunaambia tulipe cash na tuna pesa. Hii SHA sijui vile naingizwa kwa watoto, naingizwa na ameweka limit. Ati watoto watatu na wengine tunaweka wapi?
The promise by government to clear 4.5 billion of the NHIF debt has been termed as a drop in the ocean against the claim of more than 50 billion Kenya shillings owed to various facilities by government through the defunct NHIF. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Tonight, detectives have recovered a motor vehicle believed to have been used in the events to and after the murder of 3 family members who went missing in Eastleigh before their bodies were recovered. Police have been recording statements, including from a woman who says she was also abducted and was in the company of the 3 women moments before they were killed. The woman of Somali origin has told the police that her family deposited 1 million shillings into an Ethiopian account to secure her release from her abductors. Our crimes reporter Franklin Wala has more.
Detectives probing the mysterious Eastleigh killings are almost getting a breakthrough into arresting the main suspect into the murder of these 3 members of a family. Detectives probing the murder have recovered a motor vehicle which they believe was used in the abduction of the 3 before killing and dumping their bodies in different locations. The vehicle was recovered within Wakulima Market in Kamkunji, Nairobi. As the recovery happened, homicide investigators at the DCI headquarters were grilling a woman who is believed to have crucial information. The lady of Somali origin says she was also abducted alongside the 3 women who were later killed. In her statement to the police, she claims she was in the same room the 3 family members had been locked moments after they were abducted. She says the abductors demanded a ransom to set them free. Her family managed to raise close to 1 million shillings, which was deposited in an Ethiopian bank account. Police are probing the claims to understand if she is an accomplice in the murders or indeed a victim. Analysis of the victims' mobile phones revealed that on the night they were abducted, their phones were within Eastleigh for some time before they proceeded to General Waruinge, Hombe Road, and one phone was switched off within Pangani. It is suspected after the 3 were killed, the suspect proceeded to Bahati and dumped the body of Nusaiba Abdi. He later proceeded to Parklands where he dumped the body of Amina Abdirashid. From Parklands, the killers headed to South Sea and dumped chopped hands belonging to Waris Daudi. From South Sea, they went further to Chumvi, Machakos County, where they dumped the body of Waris Daudi. Along the way, the suspects fueled their car at a petrol station, and police are probing CCTV and payment details. It has also emerged the husband to Waris Daudi is in the United Kingdom and has a second wife who stays with him in the UK. The wife was in Kenya recently, and police are probing to know if she knows anything on the killings. Also, police have revealed they have a suspect in their custody who they believe is an accomplice in the murder. Meanwhile, traders within Eastleigh protested the killings of the Somali ladies demanding justice. The traders closed shops as a way of mourning the fallen souls.
Tumekuja kufanya maandamano ya amani. Tumekuja kueleza kwamba tunataka tupate sheria kutoka nini, tunataka tupate katika nini, tunataka tupate yani justice, tunataka tupate justice.
As police continue with the probe, an autopsy will be conducted on the 3 bodies Friday and thereafter a burial at the Langata Cemetery. Detectives are now analyzing how the body of 34-year-old Waris Daudi found itself at this crime scene after the woman was abducted from Eastleigh, more than 55 kilometers from this place. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV, at Chumvi, Machakos County.
Now, away from that, the Ministry of Education has been challenged to fully enact the competency-based curriculum policy to ensure that learners get the full benefit of the education system. National Assembly's Committee on Education says the rollout of the CBC system continues to disenfranchise learners in public schools that are yet to receive the full monetary and infrastructural support from the government. Brenda Wanga reports.
In just 1 year, the first cohort of the CBC pupils will be transitioning to senior school, marking the completion of the first phase of this curriculum. But members of parliament are raising concerns that a large portion of those learners have not had the full experience as envisioned, and they are placing the blame at the doorstep of the Ministry of Education and its failure to implement CBC policies.
The resolution to ensure every single primary school in the Republic of Kenya must have junior secondary school is not being implemented by the ministry. It's a concern because this is something we passed as a National Assembly, and anything that is passed by the National Assembly is not just passed in vain. It is passed so that it can be implemented by the respective ministries or state departments.
But that isn't the only policy that the ministry has failed to implement that MPs say has made learners walk long distances to access junior schools in areas where junior schools don't exist. The MPs also want the government to ensure that the learners, especially in public schools, are equipped for their science and technology-based subjects.
In terms of structures, the laboratories which are required are not there in most of our constituencies. In my constituency, we don't have laboratories for junior secondary schools. The teaching aids are not there. It pains me too much to run that we are implementing a curriculum without the required resources.
I come from a constituency where we don't have electricity in 26 public primary institutions that are housing JS classes. Because you remember CBC, of course, there's the issue of ICT and under the CBC program. What are you doing as a ministry?
Indeed, this lack of specific policies on the governance of schools under the competence-based curriculum also has a teaching fraternity stuck when it comes to staffing the schools.
Until we get a policy document from the Ministry of Education on what a comprehensive school is, about the JSS, how are we to align that staffing norm? Because it's only then that, you see, like you are talking about the pathways, we have been changing the subjects now and then. TSC has to be properly guided, because when we come up with the staffing norm, it involves money.
The ministry says the challenges notwithstanding, it is moving well with the plans to transition the learners next year based on existing policy frameworks that guide the implementation of the CBC.
The ministry approach in implementation of the competence-based curriculum is guided by key policies, and notably what really guides us is the Basic Education Curriculum Framework of 2017. I would want to mention, Chair, that this is the first time while implementing this curriculum that the curriculum framework was done.
That framework, the ministry says, has also been subjected to changes from time to time.
There was need for us to rationalize the number of learning areas and curriculum design in terms of scope, integration of subjects within a learning area, gaps and content overloads, and overlaps in basic education.
The ministry has also been challenged to provide clear guidelines on the financing of the junior and senior school learning, as well as ensuring that it makes clear how children will continue to benefit from the school feeding programs. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
All right, only that it's just about 27 minutes after the hour. We are taking a short break, but remember the hearing of that case about the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at the High Court just concluded about an hour ago. We'll be bringing you the coming up after the break. Coming up on Data Point, National Treasury yet to release 63 billion shillings to the counties as Houses of Parliament disagree on how much counties should receive in the current financial year.
As a parent, you want your little one to experience all that life offers. To touch the world with an open heart and curious mind. But the world, for all its beauty, holds unseen dangers. Germs, bacteria, tiny threats, waiting on every surface. Dettrex protects you and your family from disease-causing germs.
That's why I choose Dettrex.
Allowing the freedom to be yourself all day long.
Dettrex, endorsed by Kenya Progressive Mass Association. Bidhaa bora kutoka Pwani Oil Limited.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Hello, my name is Mary Oyeke. I'm from the county of Homa Bay. Towards the end of 2019, I could feel a growth on my left breast. When the person gets checked and anything is found early, it is easier, it is cheaper for the company, it is cheaper for everybody, it is cheaper for the economy when you're dealing with somebody who is at stage 1 than it is at stage 4. To everyone who's also starting this journey, I wish you well. God be with you. It is not as daunting when you know that there are people who are going through this with you. We are there, we are available, and we will walk with you through this journey. We'll hold your hand through this journey.
This message is brought to you by Royal Media Services. We care.
A candle does not lose anything by lighting another candle.
Enjoy the convenience of automating your regular payments with M-Pesa Ratiba, the easy-to-use mobile standing order service from M-Pesa. Download the M-Pesa app or dial *334#.
Habibi, twende Dubai na View Travel. Relax na dao cruise along the Dubai Creek. Enjoy an exciting half-day city tour, a desert safari with a barbecue dinner. Now uji treat to a shopping spree at the Dubai malls. All this and more in 5 days, starting from $680 per person sharing. Book now and lipa pole pole. Angukia deals motomoto na View Travel. Visit viewtravel.com, call or WhatsApp 0703 254 254. View Travel. Dream, explore, discover.
New Downy refill pouches, lasting longer than expensive perfumes. Cap, store, and no need to add water. Serve with a Downy refill.
Oya, ebu cheki Mashakura John. Well, that's what his friends call him. Usually, they will do anything to avoid his cooking, manze. Surprise, surprise! No more Mashakura John, thanks to new Royco herbs and spices. Spiceka na Royco.
Experience the power of the ultimate glow in our new revitalizing formula. With 3 times more oil-infused serum, Vaseline Lotions penetrates and restores your skin's natural moisture from within. No need to add extra oils or glycerin. New Vaseline Lotions.
Colgate Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs, scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums. Choose natural. Choose Colgate Charcoal.
Get ready, because AirAsia is taking you there. With over 130 destinations, there's always somewhere new to explore. And with fly-through via Kuala Lumpur, it's all just one seamless trip away. Snorkeling in Langkawi, diving in Bali, or road tripping in Sydney? We got you. So, where to next? Fly through with AirAsia now.
Great yummy taste, gotta hack it. I spread bread, but nguvu gotta pack it. Napaka nyweki design ya mogoro. Blue Band, Juni natural cocoa. 5 vitamins, una grow plus vitam nani Tuna hack snack na ki Blue Band choco for your growth.
New Downy perfume collection. Sometimes I need a scent to keep me calm amongst the chaos, or a light fragrance that keeps me fresh in the heat, or a perfume that feels elegant all day and into the night, lasting longer than expensive perfumes. New Downy, lavender calm, sunrise fresh, and sweet elegance, freshness that inspires confidence. Your dreams have come true. Try it for only 20 shillings.
Is Dove better than ordinary soap? We're going to prove it. Take a bar of your soap and Dove. Use yours on one side, Dove on the other. The soap part feels rough. The Dove side is softer, smoother, and more radiant. With 1/4 moisturizing cream, Dove deeply nourishes for radiant skin all over. Try Dove and feel the difference.
A nutritious breakfast sets the tone for the day. Whole grains provide sustained energy to keep you focused and productive.
Everyone is fueling their greatness. Have you had yours? What's your excuse?
As the food production has gone higher, the cost of living, for instance, the cost of unga has come down.
Nini niyo aliona ama aligundua ikamfanya atoroke?
Just go away.
Dajukiz, mama yako alikufundisha kupika, na mimi nikakufundisha kuendesha gari. Gari hili ni lako.
Soko, more than a meal.
Welcome back. You're still watching Tonight, and it's time for Data Point. I want us to focus on some of the issues regarding the counties. Let's begin by having a look at the amounts that the counties are supposed to be receiving. You will recall that before the Finance Bill 2024 was rejected, the counties had been allocated 400.1 billion shillings. But because of the withdrawal, the National Treasury proposed to the National Assembly to reduce that allocation by 20 billion shillings. And that is what the National Assembly amended, that the Division of Revenue bill to be reading 380 billion shillings for the counties. But the Senate has insisted that it sticks with the initial figure of 400.1 billion shillings, saying that that cannot be altered. But now what is happening is that because of that standoff between the Senate and the National Assembly, there's a standoff on the Division of Revenue Act. It had been enacted, but now it cannot continue to be implemented because already there's that amendment that is going on. The County Allocation of Revenue Act, this is the law that distributes the resources. For instance, if you allocate 400.1 billion shillings, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill is what shares across the 47 counties, and therefore the disbursement schedule cannot be implemented for the current year because, again, those two first documents have challenges in Parliament. Now, let's take a look at something else that the Attorney General advised the county government as well as the control of budget that they can go ahead to release 50% of the equitable allocation based on the previous year's allocations, meaning that they can receive based on what Division of Revenue Act was in 2023 and the County Allocation of Revenue Act of 2023. But now the question is, once you hit 6 months, which will be 50% of those resources, what should happen? Why to find this country that Parliament is yet to resolve that particular question of those two crucial laws? Now, there has been delayed disbursement that county governors have been complaining about. For instance, for the month of July, August, September, October, there are resources that are supposed to be sent to the counties. But as we speak, The resources meant for July 2024 were disbursed in the month of September, 2 months late. The resources for August 2024 were disbursed last week, which is 30.8 billion shillings. It was discharged or released on 17th of October, again 2 months late. But now the resources that should have gone to the counties on the 15th of September, 30.8 billion shillings, and on the 15th of October, 32.7 billion shillings, they are still pending, meaning that, for instance, September is a month late, October is a few days late, just over 9 days late. Now, if you have to look at the resources that should have gone to the counties for this financial year starting July to October, it should have been 127.19 billion shillings, but what has been received by the counties is 63.5 billion shillings, meaning that there are another 63.5 billion shillings that are still pending at the counties, and that becomes a challenge. Now, for this situation to be resolved, remember in the financial year 2023-2024, the counties had been allocated 385 billion shillings as their equitable share of the revenue. And the National Assembly new figure of 2024-2025 has been 380 billion shillings. The Senate insists it has to be 400.1 billion shillings. So were the country to go with the figure of 380 billion shillings, it would actually be 5 billion shillings less compared to the previous financial year. And therefore, for this to be resolved, the Constitution allows the formation of a mediation team, which I want us to look at now. Of course, the impact of that is that there are delayed salaries, there are delayed payments to suppliers. This is what eventually becomes pending bills. Counties are having to borrow from banks, especially to clear urgent issues, for instance, the salaries for workers. And of course, some of these loans or this borrowing comes with at a cost of the interest that has to be paid, even if it's on short-term loans. Now, for this to be resolved, there is 30 days allowed in the Constitution for mediation from the date that both the National Assembly and the Senate form a committee to mediate between those two figures. If you have to look at this, if committee and the houses agree, the bill is assented into law. And if the committee or houses do not agree, then that bill would be defeated, meaning that the counties would have no framework of sharing revenue. But of course, this is something that can be avoided as soon as the National Assembly comes back from recess and they're able to form their side of the mediation team, as well as get the similar number from the Senate to continue to look at that. But that's the situation that counties are having to deal with at the moment, with 2 months of disbursement still delayed from the National Treasury. That's data point for this week. But now to another story. The 3-judge bench hearing cases challenging the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua as Deputy President is tomorrow expected to make a ruling on whether to grant or dismiss an application by Gachagua to have the judges disqualify themselves from hearing the matter. Gachagua's lawyers claim the 3 judges are biased and have conflict of interest in the case, linking one of them to President William Ruto, another said to be a friend of Senate Speaker Amason Kingi and Deputy President nominee Kithure Kindiki. Seth Olale followed the proceedings at the Milimani Law Courts.
The hearing of a petition by impeached Deputy President seeking to have Justices Eric Ogolla, Anthony Mrima and Freda Mugambi recuse themselves from presiding over proceedings at the High Court on his impeachment was a dramatic battle of legal minds, with Gachagua making allegations against 2 of the 3 judges, linking one with the President and the other with Senate Speaker Amason Kingi.
The petitioner says that they are absolutely uncomfortable with that, and they cannot be able to say that if we have reached a situation whereby judges are answering our case in advance, it is absolutely bad and beyond repair.
The 3-judge bench refused to grant Gachagua's lawyers a request seeking to expunge sections of an affidavit linking Justice Freda Mrima to nominee Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki and Anthony Mrima to the DP nominee. In a quick rejoinder, lawyers representing the Attorney General, National Assembly and Senate dismissed the claims, arguing that there is no law prohibiting judges from free association with members of the public and that the petitioner has not directly expressed that there is conflict of interest in the judges' dealings with the aforementioned.
On the contrary, decisions abound that judges must not recuse themselves on flimsy and baseless allegations.
It's now over 10 days since the 3-judge bench was empaneled to preside over all impeachment matters pertaining Rigathi Gachagua. The court will commence Friday's proceeding with a ruling on the recusal petition by Rigathi Gachagua. Seth Olale, Citizen TV at the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi County.
Keep it Citizen TV, and of course you'll be getting to hear the developments from the courts in regards to that important matter for the country. In the meantime, family of Stephen Munyako alias Steve-O, a Kenyan man who was sentenced to death by the sword in Saudi Arabia, can now breathe a sigh of relief after the government secured a 1-year postponement of his execution. Munyako was working in Saudi Arabia when he was convicted in order to be punished by death after being involved in a fight with a colleague who later succumbed to injuries in April 2011. Ben Kirui reports on these and other stories making headlines.
A month from today, Stephen Munyako, also known as Steve-O, was scheduled to face execution by the sword in Saudi Arabia. However, thanks to the intervention of the Kenyan government, Steve-O and his family have been granted a temporary reprieve as they race against time to raise 150 million Kenya shillings required to secure his pardon. Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei announced on Thursday that negotiations between the Kenyan and Saudi governments, alongside the deceased man's widow, had led to the postponement of the execution, which was initially set for November 26th this year. The new execution date has been pushed back by a year to allow the families involved more time to settle outstanding obligations. Under Islamic law, Munyako is required to pay 150 million Kenya shillings in diya or blood money to the victim's family in order to secure a pardon. He had been working in Saudi Arabia when, in April 2011, he was involved in a fight with a colleague who later succumbed to his injuries. Munyako has spent the last 13 years in prison at Shimeisha prison in Mecca. In other news, 8 senior officials from the Bomet County government have been arrested by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC over allegations of conflict of interest and embezzlement of public funds amounting to 1.2 billion shillings. The officials are accused of making fraudulent payments to companies owned by themselves, their relatives, and proxies. Additional accusations are abuse of office, conflict of interest, unexplained wealth, and the misappropriation of 373 million Kenya shillings in the procurement of 12 heavy road construction machines and trucks during the 2022-2023 financial year. The arrested officials were released after recording statements at various EACC and government offices. Meanwhile, in neighboring Nyamira County, Assembly Speaker Enoch Okero has been impeached on charges of gross misconduct and sabotaging Assembly motions.
Honorable Mose Apel Mokaya Mawawa Ward.
The impeachment motion was supported by 23 members of the County Assembly, while 11 MCAs abstained. Okero has since challenged his indefinite suspension in the High Court. Lastly, former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has accused several officials within the current Nairobi County government of misleading Governor Johnson Sakaja regarding the ownership of land title deeds for affordable housing projects in Ngara and Jivanjie. Speaking from his Upper Hill office, Sonko refuted claims that he was in possession of 2 title deeds related to the housing projects. Sonko urged Governor Sakaja to launch an investigation into the matter, accusing some of his cabinet members of attempting to tarnish his reputation by falsely linking him to the title deeds. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, Peter Ngugi from Keno, Murang'a County, is the latest Shabiki Aviator winner, taking home some 677,470 shillings. A thrilled Ngugi expressed his gratitude to the platform as he told of his investment plans.
Peter Ngugi attributes his success to patience and persistence. He revealed that he has been playing for a long time, and cumulatively his winnings have now surpassed the 1 million shillings mark.
Leo nimejishindia 675,000. Mimi ni pilot kwa Shabiki.
He says he will continue playing, not just for the winnings, but for the entertainment it provides.
Hii si mara yangu ya kwanza kushinda. Nimekuwa nikishinda 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 na hii sasa ndio mingi 675. So far nimewin 1.3 million. na nitaendelea kushinda.
Ngugi plans to reinvest his latest winnings in his thriving tile business in Keno. He says the money will help him stock up and expand his operations, boosting his business growth.
Nitawaletea mali nyingi za tiles. Hii pesa imekuja wakati mzuri. Nitaongeza stock kwa duka.
Ngugi's success story is just one of many, proving that with patience and persistence, anyone can turn entertainment into significant winnings.
Pia wewe unaweza kuwa mshindi. Ingia shabiki.com/aviator na utakuwa mshindi.
To find out more, visit www.shabiki.com. Steve Shitera, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Safaricom launches its 13th Sustainable Business Report, focusing on accelerating digital inclusion.
As a parent, you want your little one to experience all that life offers. To touch the world with an open heart and curious mind. But the world, for all its beauty, holds unseen dangers. Germs, bacteria, tiny threats, waiting on every surface.
Dettrex protects you and your family from disease-causing germs.
That's why I choose Dettrex.
Allowing the freedom to be yourself all day long.
Dettrex, endorsed by Kenya Progressive Mass Association. Bidhaa bora kutoka Pwani Oil Limited.
Early cancer diagnosis goes a long way in one receiving early treatment. This October, take that step today and get screened at your nearest health facility. Join the fight and together, let us beat cancer. This message is brought to you by Royal Media Services. We care.
Baadaye auntie.
Mkuu, umetufikisha home poa. Asante. Pia wewe pata kakitu ikufikishe home.
Nunua any 2 80-gram Cadbury Dairy Milk Packs ama Cadbury Drinking Chocolate. Visit cadbury.africa uandikie someone special your heartfelt message ya kumshow thanks. T's and C's apply. Cadbury, there's a glass and a half in everyone.
You should be the next singing superstar.
Has dull and uneven skin tone taken away your confidence? Presenting Shalina Healthcare's new Epiglow. With power of triple radiance complex, an innovative technology that gives you glowing skin by reducing dark spots in 28 days. Skin science for a perfect glow. New Epiglow.
Wash your clothes with Toss Lavender to leave your clothes with a lasting, irresistible freshness.
The cause of progress forward and forever. Sote kwa pamoja kesho yapendeza. Tunasonga pamoja, tunashinda. Tukishirikiana twavuka mipaka. Pamoja twainuka na HF twasonga. Pamoja imara na HF together. Wakenya tunasonga. Twainuka.
HF Group. Dreams made possible. Are you
you a teacher seeking to upgrade your education? Enroll for your studies at Mount Kenya University and learn through the distance institution-based and electronic learning mode. Reporting dates are 30th November and 1st December 2024 in all our campuses. Intake is in progress. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
When you've gotta go, go for Neptune, the softer two-ply tissue paper, available in plain white and colored.
Nimekuwa Citizen Duka nikapata wako na ofa ya okoa wiki hapo Quickmart. For only 442 shillings, nimeweza kupata yawa mkate at only 79 shillings. Na masiwa je at 45 bob. Na sababu wa Kenya tunapenda ugali. Nimepata unga at only 89 shillings. Na mchele episode je, hiyo pia iko at 189 shillings a kg. Hizi sote ni less than 500 bob. Imagine nimelipa tu 442 shillings nikaweza kusave 88 shillings. Unangoja nini bwana? Okoa wiki na Citizen Duka. Piga *487*5#. Chagua Quickmart, then chagua Okoa wiki. Lipa na utapata message ya kwenda kuchukua package yako kwa Citizen Duka counter ya any Quickmart supermarket karibu na wewe.
Welcome to Boma Mabati Factory, the 2024 winner in roofing solutions. All our products come with a warranty and are KEBS certified. Be part of our many satisfied customers by visiting us to enjoy great discounts. Boma Mabati Factory, Mabati Poa, near Boma.
Oreo na Coca-Cola wamekuwa mabesti sana. Je, umejaribu the new Oreo Coca-Cola Limited Edition biscuits? Ni noma sana. Manze usiachwe nyuma.
When your kids learn to be independent, you're giving them a great start. Prestige Margarine. It all starts with a great start. Now comes in the original and vanilla flavor.
Only core span yarn with stretch. Pre-washed, color-fast, and shrink-proof so they last longer. Only specially reinforced side seams. Engineered for durability. Only superior cotton with stretch to hold shape and look perfect all day. The only chinos to choose. Chinos from 5,600 shillings.
As the food production has gone higher, the cost of living, for instance, the cost of unga has come down.
Ni nini hiyo aliona ama aligundua ikamfanya atoroke?
Just go away!
Dajukiz, mama yako alikufundisha kupika. Na mimi nikakufundisha kuendesha gari. Gari hili ni lako.
Soko, more than a meal.
Welcome back. In business, telecommunications service provider Safaricom has announced its plans to solarize its entire network in the next 6 years. Speaking during the company's 13th Sustainable Business Report launch, Safaricom Chief Executive Officer Peter Ndegwa announced that the company will be looking to solarize an additional 3,000 sites in the next 2 years, making a quarter of their network solarized to reduce the company's carbon footprint. And as Jimmy Mbogo now reports, Safaricom has also called on other partners to collaborate in ensuring sustainable business practices.
In the last year, Safaricom contributed nearly $1 trillion to the Kenyan economy, sustaining over 1.2 million jobs
In the same period, its economic value to society through operations stood at 562.2 billion shillings, with flagship mobile money services M-Pesa social value standing at 348 billion shillings. The company further generated 722 billion shillings in Kenya's GDP through its operation, including 189 billion shillings in direct impact, with their total revenue in financial year 2024 amounting to 349.447 billion shillings. Amounts that the company has highlighted as some of their key milestones in their sustainability journey.
The value we create ensures that we live by SDG 8, which calls for decent economic growth, and also SDG 10, which calls to reduce inequalities. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently celebrating our 24 years as Africa's leading mobile service provider. Even as we begin our journey in the year 2000, we understand the value and impact of empowering the communities that we serve and the greater ecosystem that continues to support our continued growth.
Safaricom sets aside 10% of our procurement spend to promote women, persons with disabilities, and youth suppliers as we expand opportunities for business. You might think that 10% is quite small, but for a business the size of Safaricom, 10% is quite a significant amount.
In addition to financial empowerment, Safaricom has highlighted its role in supporting the country's agricultural sector. Through its digital platform, it has connected 3.3 million farmers to government subsidies, further demonstrating how technology can be used to enhance livelihoods in underserved communities.
We have harnessed technology to provide tech platforms for public sector to offer 22 million, and you'll have heard the PS mention it, 22 million Kenyans a chance to advance their economic needs through loans such as Hustler Fund and Women Enterprise Fund. We believe in developing entrepreneurs who can improve socio-economic outcomes of our society.
Many analysis shows that African countries, Kenya included, are lacking behind in terms of digital platforms which are indigenous to the country. We are very talented young people. We are already very good adopters of technology. We want to see more growth of digital platforms.
To enhance environmental sustainability, the telco has also committed to solarize its network by 2030, with 3,000 more sites expected to be solarized in the medium term.
Over the next 2 years, we are going to add an extra 3,000 sites, so that will allow us to get to about 3/4 of our sites being fully solar enabled. And in 5 years, before 2030, we will have solarized the full network.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Key industry leaders and government officials gathered earlier today for the first ever Kenya Anti-Financial Crime Summit. The summit, which attracted local and international experts, aims to strengthen Kenya's financial system in the fight against money laundering and terrorism financing. Jasmine Omboy has more.
The Financial Action Task Force grey listing, which came into effect in February 2024, has put the country under international scrutiny for failing to meet global standards in the fight against money laundering and terrorism financing. In light of this, players in the private sector, led by Flywheel Advisory and the Financial Reporting Center, held the inaugural Kenya Anti-Financial Crime Summit. The convention brings together regulators and industry experts to discuss the growing threats posed by financial crime.
We do know that in Africa, the UNODC did report that Africa loses $50 billion a year to illicit financial flows. So those are the numbers that we're working with. They're quite significant for developing economies like ours, and we really have to do something urgently.
And while the country's FATF grey listing is likely to have a direct impact on the government's ability to raise foreign debt, players in the private sector now say that this will have a ripple effect on the for-profit sector here in the country.
The implications are such that you put a risk premium on the country. So FDI inflows to Kenya will be less because people see you as not adhering to good financial management principles.
So long as Kenya remains on the grey list, we remain a high-risk country, we remain a very costly location to do business, we remain a location that is very vulnerable to criminal elements, being terrorists, being proliferators of weapons of mass destruction, and the bigger one for us today is money laundering.
The government maintains that it is committed to the eradication of financial crime within the country's borders.
The government manages or controls these malpractices through institutions which are peopled by individuals. And unless our frame of reference becomes Kenya, our frame of reference becomes our neighbor, our frame of reference becomes the over 1 million youth we are releasing into the job market every year, these problems will always be there.
Jasmine Wambui, Citizen TV.
M-Kopa, a major player in Kenya's fintech industry, has come out to address the issues surrounding a tax dispute with the Kenya Revenue Authority. This follows a landmark ruling by the Tax Appeals Tribunal in which M-Kopa was fined 885 million shillings, resulting from absence of evidence about its place of management and bad debt accrued from defaulters. The cases, which are still in court, are yet to be resolved following appeals from both KRA and M-Kopa. Raf Wangutusi tells us more.
The fintech giant M-Kopa says it is working to resolve its tax compliance dispute with the taxman. This even as defaulters continue to present a major obstacle for the company, something the organization remains focused on dealing with so as to mitigate risk and reduce the default rate.
Our ambition is to continue making sure that, yes, we can be able to introduce more and more devices, that we can be able to, target the right levels of our customer, so that at least if at all there is any customer below the entry level, our intention is to continue producing and assembling that kind of device to continue reducing that default rate.
With respect to the issue of the permanent establishment of M-Kopa, a key concern that was raised by the Kenya Revenue Authority, the company believes it is an issue of context and not tax compliance.
Around M-Kopa Kenya is a subsidiary of M-Kopa Holdings. There's been some transition in terms of the structure, but as at the year 2017, there was M-Kopa LLC, and from the year 2018, that transition to M-Kopa Holdings.
With the permanent establishment matter, that is not an issue of tax compliance. We are compliant in terms of PAYE. We don't have suits with respect to PAYE, VAT, excise duty. These are different interpretations with respect to a position that we hold very differently with respect to our side versus what KRA believes.
As M-Kopa's customer base continues to grow, the company remains hopeful on its impact on satisfying customer needs. Raf Wangutusi, Citizen TV.
Indeed. Well done, Raf. Now, the Water Resources Authority has unveiled its 5-year strategic plan for 2023-2027 aimed at transforming Kenya's water resource management sector. The blueprint outlines key goals and highlights the need for significant funding to achieve sustainable water management. The Water Resources Authority has revealed it will require 30 billion shillings to implement its 5-year plan, with 40% of the funding expected from external sources. The strategic plan aligns with Kenya's development framework, including Vision 2030 and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, while also integrating regional and international strategies. Key focus areas of the plan include improving data management, addressing climate change, enhancing institutional capacity, and fostering partnerships for resource mobilization.
This plan is to ensure that the agency has enough resources financially and on matters capacity building to regulate all the waters in the country. The agency has the mandate to ensure that we plan for the future. Our future generations are guaranteed to have water, and our taps at home don't run dry.
When you look at the best practice compared to the other countries, our neighbors, we even have more water than us. 5 shilling is very small amount of money. But when the Kenyans made a lot of noise when we were taken to court, what we did was we went and desensitized the people, sat with the wananchi, and we have reduced. Honestly, yes, we have reduced from 5 shilling to 2 shilling, 2.5 shilling.